This is the most controversial NFT video I've ever done. We are doing a tier list for Solana NFTs. Find out what's A tier, find out what's F tier, find out if your project just got funded or not. And I'm joined by Ice Knife and Solana Legend, the hosts of the Good Price Show, and two huge Solana influencers. We're gonna break down and rank the top Solana NFT projects. Sorry, I just got a text message from the IRS and they said you're But if you guys like and comment on this video, I have whitelist spots to give out for Komori, a great new project. Let's get into that video. So we have Primates, we have Teo, we have D-Gods, Reptiles, kind of funny, OK Bears, Gothic D-Gens, threw that in there for some.
They're up and coming.
They are up and coming. It's timely for this week. What is that? That's Community 3, Blocksmith Labs, Kets, Trippin' Ape Tribe, FFF, Catalina. We can kind of talk about Bubble Goose in there if you want to. SMB, DJ Coin Flip, Owned Ape Crew, I almost said DJ Ape Academy, and Boryoku. Guys, let's start off with the best of the best. Okay, we're at the S tier right now. And by the way, all of these are good projects. I'm not here to talk about rugs or any, terrible projects. So if you're included on this list, it's because you've done something well. What is indisputably an S tier project?
All right, let's start with Solana Monkey business. I'll say it straight up. We gotta start with SMBs. Legend, what do you think about that?
Yeah, of course, man. I agree. I mean, it's the first true PFP on Solana. They've got to be S tier, man.
I think we could also put D-Gods in S tier. What do you think?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm surprised you guys didn't even put D-Gods first. I mean, SMB, there seems like some maybe bias there, maybe historical bias. Some people have talked about SMB being, maybe a slow rug. I didn't say it.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, look, we don't have to stray away from that, right? But the monkey DAO looks like it's gonna buy it out. I mean, they already announced something like that. So hopefully, and even through all that, what soft rug carried a floor of 150 throughout its entirety of existence?
Yeah.
So let's not forget that.
With record-breaking sales, right? 2.1 million. Even if it was in the past, like main thing is these guys have provenance and they have branding.
Yeah, it's like CryptoPunks right now seem like one of the best store of values on Ethereum for historical reasons. I would kind of liken SMB to that as well. Now, D-Gods we put into the S tier. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. However, they have the Duppies Mint coming up. Do you guys see any world where a Duppies Mint, could potentially bring this project down?
So we saw something similar with the Catalina whales when obviously they ran up to like 150 SOL right before Bubble Goose dropped. And I still think the Catalina whales team is top tier, and potentially I don't know, maybe they could have been an S tier a few weeks ago before the drop, because their community was wild on Twitter and still are obviously, but their floor price doesn't reflect it. And unfortunately, a lot of people will reflect floor prices to what a blue chip project should have, like what blue chip is cheap, right? Like it doesn't really make too much sense. So I don't know. I mean, look, I wouldn't necessarily bet against Frank and the D-Gods team. I'm sure they have things in place afterwards, after the Duppies mint for D-Gods to hold its value. But I don't know, man, it can get rough out there, especially with 10K holders. I mean, there's got to be some paper handers that mint and want to dump their D-Gods, but I don't know, we'll see what happens.
Certainly we'll see what happens with that. I do have the conviction in Frank, like a lot of other people do. He seems to, be able to buck certain trends that we've seen in recent past. Okay, let's talk about other contenders potentially for the S tier. Maybe it's just these two, but for me, I would maybe throw OK Bears. DJ Coin Flip is, kind of a soul printer. Boryoku Dragons. Out of those three, are those on the echelon of SMB and D-Gods?
Maybe Coin Flip, but probably not S tier. The thing with S tier for me is this is like a strong A that's time and cycle proven, right? It just takes time. Like you can't just jump into S tier just because you're a hot mint. Like the only thing holding OK Bears from being an S tier is more line of sight to their branding stuff and more time holding value, honestly.
Iced?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I mean, we saw a huge influx. I mean, they broke a lot of records. We have to give credit where credit is due. I think they belong more in the A tier than S tier. Just my opinion. But doesn't mean they couldn't move up to the S tier, relatively soon.
We'll go OK Bears, A tier. We'll go DJ Coin Flip, A tier. Is there another A tier candidate below? I mean, do you want to put Boryoku Dragons, of course, months ago would have been, a dead ringer for this. Any other A tier that you see down below?
I think we can put the Catalina Catalina whales in A tier. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, great project. I don't want to get like butted for this, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes they're like they've like launched Bubble Goose right away, and I feel like they perhaps need to like iron out a little bit better the whole Wagme Beach concept. I would never bet against Michael Ross George, to be clear. Like that dude is a master brand builder. He built up like Martin Garrix's career. Like if there's anybody that can do it, it's MRG. But like just a little bit of like, you know, want to see it to believe it type vibes. I think they could be A. I think they could be B. Either way.
I'll make the critical decision. I'm gonna go B tier. Although I will say, yo, they were able to.
Do you think we would have put them in A tier prior to Bubble Goose launch?
What was the issue with the Bubble Goose launch? Was it the 7 SOL mint price? It is still above mint price.
Yeah, it's above mint. No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's definitely above mint. I'm saying that we saw the whales run up to 150. There was volume then too. Like people were buying whales at 150, right? It wasn't just like a delist train where there was an artificial floor. Like people were buying whales at 150. You know, that's a lot of people's entry prices. Then obviously right now they're sitting at like just under 50, probably like 45, 47 right now, which is a significant drop, right? So I saw something similar obviously with Boryoku over the last few months, I guess, which is unfortunate because I think they're all, you know, quality projects, but you know, like they, you know, we just have to, I guess, price and blue chip really go hand in hand. You know, there's no cheap blue chip, just doesn't exist.
And again, we're still saying Catalina Whale Mixer is like a top 5 Solana project, and the fact that they were able to recruit maybe the most legit artist that's ever been on Solana with Carl Jones, I believe, from the Boondocks. Are we disrespecting Kets on Crack right now by not immediately putting them into the B tier?
No, I was actually gonna go for them next. I think the Cats on Crack really blew up the whole community first thing, and they started that meta because they kind of just shilled their way to their floor price, truthfully, which was really, really crazy. I know a lot of my friends got in early, and you know that was a huge win for a lot of my friends, and I'm really, really happy for them. Okay,
I'm actually at a little bit of a loss now. I feel like these 6 projects were pretty straightforward. I probably would have got to this conclusion myself. I don't know if there's another B tier out there. What am I missing right now, guys? We have, you know,
I think there's a few more B tiers we definitely have to go over.
I think like Boryoku goes in B at least. These guys like are meta definers, right? They started the utility token era. They started the like cross chain era as well with like building in sandbox, and then they did a cross chain mint from SOL to ETH, which has never been done before in history. So just on that, I think these guys have like enough clout and historical relevance. The only caveat is that their community is like super small, so they just don't have the voice to like get out there and like do what Cats on Crack does.
Feels a bit gate kept. Okay, I would agree with that. Boryoku Dragons in the B tier.
I think there's a few more B tiers here, truthfully.
Let's go.
And by the way, like I don't want anybody feel upset about a B tier ranking or even like C, right? Like a lot of these projects, like every project here is a good project, straight up. Like I'm not gonna be like you shouldn't be. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are gonna get offended by it, but like who cares, right? Like if your ranking is different than ours, then so be it, whatever, right? And we're definitely gonna get a lot of shit because the DAAs, we need to include the DAAs somewhere probably. Taio's B tier for sure.
Yeah, Taio's right there. Like those guys are attached at the hip to Boryoku. Like whenever Boryoku does something, these guys do the same. I would never fade Soulport Tom. He's got an entire like team behind him, tons of funding, real life business experience, like clear B tier right here.
Yeah, also powerful community as well, and obviously I think they're doing their pilot mint pretty soon. We'll see how that goes as well. I think if Soulport had a more prominent market share, I think these could propel themselves into the S tier. I think there's a lot of potential there for the Taios to really be a top tier Solana NFT. Not that they aren't, right? Like they're still a top tier Solana NFT, but I'm saying like in the S tier, I think let's say if Soulport and Magic Eden switched, like there's no reason like Taio wouldn't be the #1 project.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like those guys are tied to the success of Soulport for better or for worse.
Right, and huge builders, right? Like these guys create stuff undeniably. We should also get Blocksmith Labs, dude. These guys, huge builders. I know Mert, I don't know if he's still part of the team, but such a smart guy. And, these guys also come from, the founders, I think, are D-Gods originally. And, they pretty much just like had the whole whitelist meta under their belt. They pretty much ran it, like everybody was using Mercury. So, hats off to them. Another huge, building-based utility NFT. They did a really, really great job. You got to show them some love. And, Legend, what do you think about that?
Yeah, Blocksmith is right there, right? This is a tool everyone uses Mercury for whitelist, man. Like something that has as much market penetration as their tools is for me like instant at least B or A, because their ability to kind of drive utility through that is limitless. Like if they can come up with something, they can bake that in for holders tomorrow, and that will cause them to jump right up there.
I think because of the quality of the teams, you could even argue Blocksmith and Tayo could be in the A tier, and that could be something that changes in a couple of weeks, in a month. Again, these are all malleable, can move. These are all great projects. I personally think that's probably it for the B tier, guys. Can we move on to the C tier?
I can't move on to the C tier. I have to put the famous foxes in the B tier as well. I really have to. What do you think about that, Legend? We have to put him in this B tier. Put him in the B tier,
I mean,
bro.
look, here's the thing.
B tier?
If famous foxes, here's my 2 cents on it. And I love the team, by the way. Amazing builders. They do an amazing service for Solana. They have some of the best tools. Here's the only issue I have with famous foxes. A lot of these tools in a free market would be free, and they've done a little bit of a poor job like capturing the value of those tools and providing it to holders. They've kind of done it through their Foxy token, but at the same time, I would have liked to see like a little bit better, value capture for holders for these guys to be like A or B tier. But I know a lot of people will be like, never fade the foxes, amazing builders. Agreed, they are amazing builders, but
they are. But I think there is somewhat of a gap between a Tayo, a Soulport, and Blocksmith Labs when it comes to Famous Fox Federation. I'd put them at the C tier. Does anyone want to agree with me on that, or are you guys both thinking this is a B tier?
I guess I could, I won't. I wish there was like a tier in between, because I think they're, a really, really, solid place to store your money if you're gonna buy Solana NFTs, because obviously they're not going anywhere, and their team is hugely dedicated. I think Legend is right though in terms of like how they monetize their tools to give back to their holders, because the Foxy token, like you could buy like unlimited amount, and it will cost you like a few SOL, and you could just do all those transactions. So it's pretty much like free, like it's pretty much like cents. If they charged maybe a little more, or if they were a little more business savvy in that sense, it's definitely possible the foxes could be at a much higher floor.
Community 3, is that a C tier project? Do we have anything else on the C tier? I think Community 3 potentially could be there. What are your guys' thoughts?
It's just like, yeah, they're like, there's not a lot of clear line of sight to their product, right? I haven't even spoken to a lot of people that understand what they're building, so perhaps lack of communication, and also it's just kind of a question mark. Like, is this a product people will even use? Like, I've seen labs go for 100,000.
Yeah,
that's cool. For power users, obviously they understand the significance of this, and they're all over it. Like, I've talked to Brando, he's a mega fan of Community 3, and he's a smart guy, so I would never fade him. But at the same time, for someone who doesn't have their own Discord, who doesn't have their own community, and doesn't have ways to like monetize their own people, like, is this for everyone? Maybe not.
The other omission in this one was DGen Ape Academy. Where do you guys see DGen Ape Academy, Stoned Ape Crew? D, E, F? Shouldn't even be on the list.
I think DGen Apes are probably a B, just on like prominence and relevance.
DGen Apes are likely a B tier, I would suggest also.
DGen Apes, like if they improve their branding and they do something with their IP a bit better, they could easily be an A tier, because those guys are literally like the reason why Solana NFTs blew up with Candy Machine. So I would never fade the DGen Ape.
Okay, so they'll be in B tier. We're at the D tier right now. What else do we want to throw in alongside Community 3?
I think Stoned Ape, honestly.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And Primates as well. Primates have cool art. Stoned Ape, a bit of a fall from grace. They rode the utility like meta very like hard up and down. So these guys are kind of like a little bit finding their way again. Still a strong community. And then Primates are just up and coming. Like they have solid branding, cool art. They could jump into B or they could fall depending on like the meta and how they execute.
Yeah, the Primates definitely have their own genre of art. I think a lot of it reminds me of the early Cats on Crack days. Super strong community-led project.
The thing I'll say about Primates, currently Hello Moon, which is a great free tool. By every metric, it's one of the biggest, socially moving projects around. Do you want to throw Gothic Degens in a D, or is that one below? Because that's another project that has done well this past week.
I think I want to see a little more from them. I would probably put them in the E tier, but like I said, like community can't be faded. So as long as that engagement there, social engagement, real organic engagement, like you can tell, right? If bots aren't commenting, if bots aren't retweeting and liking tweets, like you can really tell, especially if you go in the Discord as well, like shit's really gonna pop off, and that obviously leads to buying pressure a lot of the time.
Yeah, aided by a Frank D. God's tweet, that's basically the bailout, the George W. Bush bailout, that everyone's looking for is the Frank D. God's tweet. They got it. Great art. Okay, guys, we're down to the last three here. Trippin' Ape Tribe, the Reptile, Hells, shout out Shill and Villain, and Degen Town, which was hacked, and a lot of people are angry about what's going on in that project right now.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, maybe do you agree with the E tier on Gothic Legend?
Yeah, I do. I mean, look, these like cool like creative arts things are like enough to sell out in the bear market, and I love their community. I think it's awesome. I think it's hilarious. They even like gothified my PFP. But kind of from there, like from selling out a mint and having some like viral tweets to actually like providing sustained value for holders is kind of a long road. And these guys really need to like show that they're walking it before you know, ranking them higher.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We obviously seen projects like Tombstone. You know, there's definitely retracements. This is currently a hot project. There are tons of other projects we could probably put in this E and F tier right now. F tier. This sounds bad because as a school kid, you never wanted to get an F. But maybe this is, you know, F fun. I don't know if F friendship.
I think we could also squeeze in, I mean, I would put two of these actually in the E tier. I would put both Trippin' Apes and Reptilian Renegade in the E tier because Reptilian Renegade, at least recently, they, you know, obviously after the whole fiasco happened, they went up to like a 40-45 floor and they were doing really, really well. And obviously up until like maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, they were like at a 3 SOL floor, right? Like they were down almost like, you know, 95% pretty much from all-time highs, which obviously is understandable, which would happen with Hydra and the Bloomsville Rugger. And recently they've seen a huge uptick. I think they're going to revamp the art. I think they airdropped like an Eyes Gen 2. And obviously Hydra's taken this really, really serious, which I'm proud of them for, right? Owning up to their mistakes and really creating something out of it. So I got to give credit where credit is due. And I think there could be something there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we can put them in the E tier. Tons of honoraries they've been putting out. We got to wrap it up here, guys. We're going very long. Does anyone want to FUD Degen Town real quick, or should we just put them at F?
We'll just put them at F, dude. Put them out of their misery. They got hacked. It's a very unfortunate situation. And just like for any project creators listening, please have more than one communication channel than your Twitter. You need multiple in case you get hacked.
That's the tier list, guys. Don't kill us. Don't come after us. Don't aggregate this information looking at you, Degenerate News. Thanks again to Iced and Solana Legend. They're on the Good Price Show, which you can find on YouTube. Thanks so much, guys.
Appreciate you having us.
Thanks, man.
Okay, guys, I just got bailed out of prison. The IRS said it's okay. You didn't FUD too many projects. But in all seriousness, guys, every project we mentioned in today's video is one of the top Solana projects. So please don't come in my comments. Actually, yeah, come in my comments. I'll probably engagement form. That'll help. Comment below, like, whitelist spot giveaway on this video. For real shit, guys. Most importantly, come together and say, gang, gang.